Hello and welcome to the Well-Read Monocle. Today we are turning our attention to a rather unsettling collection from Mr. Laird Barron titled The Imago Sequence and Other Stories. This is not a volume of gentle drawing room mysteries or light-hearted fiction. Instead, it is a foray into a particularly potent vein of literary horror, one that often feels vast and rather personal all at once. Mr. Barron presents us with 9 tales, each a window into a world that feels unsettlingly adjacent to our own. We begin with Old Virginia. We follow an aging Cold War agent, Garland, assigned to guard a remote cabin. Inside is a senile woman, Subject X, and 2 scientists. Garland believes the threat is Soviet infiltration. The true horror is revealed to be the woman herself. She is, in fact, Virginia Dare, an ancient being who serves a chthonic entity she calls Mother. She has psychically compromised the team, and one by one, she lures the men to a nearby cave to be fed to this entity. Garland, the last survivor, is finally ridden by Virginia, and as he is led to his doom, he manages to carve the letters CRO into the cabin floor, a final, chilling reference to the lost colony of Roanoke, which was, we must infer, her first offering. Following this is Shiver, Open Your Eye. This is narrated by a profoundly ancient, non-human entity. It lives in a cycle, wearing human form for a time before sleeping. It is a mouth for a voracious cosmic god. A private investigator, Murphy Connell, arrives at its farmhouse, searching for the many people the entity has consumed over the years. The entity plays the part of a frail old man, but ultimately lures Connell to its barn. There, it reveals its true nature, an indescribable, godlike sculpture, and Connell is unmade, utterly annihilated. His purpose served, the narrator travels to the Arctic, sheds its human guise, and sinks into the icy sea to slumber, as its great god opens its eye. Then we have Procession of the Black Sloth. A corporate spy, Royce, is in Hong Kong investigating a case. He becomes obsessed with a group of elderly women in his apartment complex. Led by the unsettling Mrs. Ward, they conduct a nightly ritual called the Procession. Royce's paranoia and reality degrade as he spies on them, culminating in him witnessing them leading a bound, near-naked young man into the building's service tunnels. He believes he is an objective observer, but the climax reveals he is their true target. Mrs. Ward and her coven are supernatural arbiters, and they lead a terrified Royce and his colleague Coyne, stuffed in a burlap sack, into their own personalized hell, a chamber of judgment. Bulldozer takes us to the Old West. A brutal Pinkerton agent, Jonah Koenig, is hunting a fugitive circus strongman named Hicks. Hicks has stolen an occult book and is on a ritualistic killing spree, all while physically changing. Koenig is just as savage as his quarry. He tracks Hicks to a cave where he has a horrifying, perhaps psychic experience. In a panic, Koenig dynamites the cave entrance. Believing the monster is sealed away, he returns to his hotel, only to be ambushed. Hicks, who has transformed into a monstrous creature, is waiting for him. The story ends as Hicks bites off Koenig's hand. Next is Proboscis. The narrator, Ray, is a documentarian accompanying a team of bounty hunters. When they capture their quarry, Piers, Ray's camera footage becomes distorted. On playback, Piers' companion, Penny, speaks directly to Ray through the camera, identifying him as an X haplotype. And speaking of a harvest, Piers escapes, and Ray's partners, Hart and Cruz, become obsessed with visiting a geological anomaly called the Mimer Mounds. Ray realizes they are also X haplotypes, being supernaturally summoned. He abandons them as they drive their car manically into the field of mounds, presumably to be consumed by the assassin bug, like entities that live there. We then have Hallucigenia. A wealthy, middle-aged man, Wallace, and his young wife Helen explore a derelict barn. Inside, they are attacked by what appears to be a dead horse, which reanimates and brutally kicks Helen, leaving her in a coma. Above them, a fleshy mass resembling a wasp nest quivers. In the months that follow, Wallace's reality decays. Helen's head wound does not heal. It grows, a suppurating fissure. The story's climax reveals that the entity from the barn has merged with Helen. Wallace finds her nurse being consumed by this thing, which is now attached to the ceiling and which is Helen. It then attacks and integrates Wallace as well. Parallax is a deeply unsettling story about perception. A man named Jack Carson's wife, Miranda, vanished 6 years ago. He was the prime suspect, and a detective, who was once his wife's lover, still watches him. The story explores the day she disappeared, a day marked by a blinding migraine and a sense of reality itself tearing at the seams. This must be a seizure. The brilliant twist of the tale is that it is fundamentally untrue. The final section flips perspective. It is Miranda's story. And on that fateful day, Jack was the one who, in the middle of making a drink, simply vanished. The event, the parallax, is the same, but their experiences of it are mutually exclusive and tragic. A very brief, apocalyptic interlude follows, titled "The Royal Zoo is Closed." It captures a single character's perspective as the world simply ends. It is fragmented, chaotic, and quite effective in its brevity. The narrator, Sweeney, witnesses reality dissolving, goes home, calmly takes a lethal overdose, and carves his epitaph on the wall. Finally, we come to the title story, the Imago sequence. A brutish debt collector, Marvin Cortez, is hired by a wealthy heir to investigate the final photograph in a series of 3. The investigation leads him to a reclusive, ageless collector named Thornton and his strange colony. Thornton reveals the photographs are triggers for a cosmic evolution. Marvin is drugged, and Thornton performs trephination, drilling a hole in his skull to show him the true Imago. Marvin has a transcendent vision, escapes, and kills 2 cultists. He falls into a chasm, landing in a vast, fleshy cavern. There, he sees the true form of the entity, a vast, old man's face in the living ceiling. He realizes he is the Imago, and as he sinks into the cavern's membrane, he is absorbed. And there we have it, the Imago sequence and other stories, a collection of tales that peer into the darkness and find the darkness peering back, with a terrifying and often personal hunger. This has been the Well-Read Monocle. Until next time.